What's going on, nation? Another week, which means another round of new album releases to get to. And the first one we're going to start to on this fine Monday morning is going to be released tomorrow, the 22nd of February 2011. It is the album Beast by the band DevilDriver. Now, if you guys don't know who DevilDriver is, you've probably been living under a rock in the metal community because they are an American group that is what a lot of people would consider to be kind of a hardcore groove metal band. They kind of have a little bit of a hardcore element to them. But I would actually say, if you recognize the name Cole Chamber and the person from them entitled, whose name is Dez, then you probably know a little bit of what these guys are going to sound like, but only crank that up to 11. Dez is kind of just somebody who joined the band after jamming with the guys over in California, and they were able to start a band called DevilDriver, and I consider it to be a little bit more along the lines of, it's not quite death metal, however, it definitely has a little bit of a groove to it, and that groove element is actually what makes them a little bit more interesting than some of the other groups out there. They've toured already extensively with bands such as Metallica and Opeth and Pantera. They have been cited as these bands as influential as others. And so the result that you get is a little hybrid here of some very, very positive riffing mixed with some vocals that some people like, some people hate. And personally, I don't mind them very much. I think that they're actually fairly fitting for the music. So this is a pretty positive group. This is something that's definitely interesting to check out. Now, the album, of course, that I'm talking about, their new one, Beast, is 12 tracks in length and is going to be roughly 55 minutes long. There are a couple different versions that will be released. There's going to be just a standard edition that's going to have just the CD, and then there's going to be a special edition that's going to have, I believe, a DVD with it that has some live stuff and some other fun crap. Hey, whatever people want, right? But at any rate, this is kind of one of those releases that whenever I listen to this, I kind of have a little bit of a spurt problem with. That's the first problem that I really have with this particular album, because the very first couple of tracks I really enjoyed a lot. I would say like tracks 1 through 3 or 1 through 4. There's a lot of good riffing on this particular album. Not to mention the drumming is very well executed. This is a very, very tight band, and that's something that's definitely a positive, because in this particular style, you definitely want to have a tight sound, else everything's going to be a little bit clustered, and you're going to notice a lot more errors as a listener, as opposed to if you are a tight band, then it's a little bit harder to figure out if something is a little bit, a hair off or anything like that. This is definitely one of those situations where everything's been finely tweaked and finely tuned. However, I say that the perfect place where you can see some of the best work that Beast is able to really grab your attention with are actually the final 3 tracks on this particular record, entitled Black Soul Choir, which is consequently one of the longest tracks on the record, Crowns of Creation, and Lend Myself to the Night. These last 3 tracks are actually a very fitting finale for this particular album, and the pity for this is that they kind of come a little bit too late, because all depending on what kind of style of metal that you really enjoy or what kind of music that you really like, these are 3 tracks that you may not get the chance to hear unless you're a little bit patient with this particular record. Because as I said, the very first couple of tracks start off very strong, but I think in the middle it gets a little bit junky, a little cluttered, kind of clustered up, almost as though the first 4 tracks and the last 3 were written with one particular style, and the tracks in the middle were kind of written a different way, and that different way just really didn't swim well with me. I don't know. It's kind of something where the lyrical concept behind a lot of the tracks in the middle really became a bit of a weakness for me. It really seemed almost as though I were diving not into the same record that I was listening to in that beginning part and that ending part, but instead I was diving more into a traditional hardcore disc where you have a lot of aggression, a lot of, lyrics that, use 4-letter explicitives, and just, it's aggression is a good thing, especially in this style. It's something that Pantera made work for them extremely well. However, for these particular couple of songs, it just really seemed very kind of dumbed down a little bit, almost as though they were playing. They played the level a little bit lower than what they typically were doing with the remainder of this record, and that's something that just sort of it irked me a little bit. It rubbed me the wrong way. It was something that really seemed to be a weakness. The lyrics seemed to really get a lot weaker on these particular tracks, this middle point. And that's something that could actually dissuade some people to continue on until the end and really miss 3 great songs, because Black Soul Choir, Crowns of Creation, and Lend Myself to the Night, this is a triptych, a trio of very excellent songs well, all depending on how patient you are as a listener, you could actually miss. I encourage you to listen all the way to the end, however, because that is the only way that you can find these nice little hidden beauties. But like I said, yeah, the lyrics are a little bit of a weakness, but it's something that's not always been a strength in my personal opinion. I listened to their last record that was released a year or so ago, and it was something that I definitely commented about as being a weakness, but I gotta say, this is going to be one of those records where I think it's going to be, you're going to either like it or you're going to kind of hate it. It's not going to really have too much of an in-between. For me, though, it is an in-between. This is a solid 7.75 release. The problem with it, like I said, the middle seems a little clustered with just some subpar material. But overall, this is definitely one that I think a lot of the fans are going to embrace. A lot of the people that like this band because of their aggressive qualities are really going to embrace this a lot because they've definitely turned the dial up a little bit. And for those of you who kind of saw them with Opeth and saw them for the potential that they kind of had, don't expect that potential to be totally shown on this particular record. However, it does show glimmers of it, and that's more than an encouraging sign, and definitely reason enough to give this a sporting try. So yeah, that's my Cover Killer seal of approval. You guys should definitely check out Beast by DevilDriver coming out this Tuesday, and I'll see you guys on the next album review. Take care, guys. Cover Killer Nation out.